Baltic Sea region network Steinbeis. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I would like, before I start, to come back to what Norbert did in the morning, actually, a little exercise, but not a physical one, but more for your brain, so to you massage your brain. Please let me know, tell me, what's your immediate thoughts if I say life sciences on top of Europe? What do you think? Life sciences on top of Europe, what does that mean? Gudrun is not allowed to answer, but all the others, please, just throw in something. No idea.
On top of the Europe.
Yeah, life sciences on top of Europe.
Many people work on that.
Huh?
Many people in Europe work on that topic,
yeah.
that topic. So it's high on the agenda.
Or because it's really top quality.
Top quality, yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts? Okay, I will tell you later on. Keep the tension a little bit. And also I have at the end of my presentation, I have a suggestion to your last slide. You were asking for topics for your last call, how clusters could, or what kind of ideas clusters could maybe bring in to your program. So hopefully it fits. So I'm from Steinbeis. Steinbeis is a German technology transfer organization. Maybe some of you know some colleagues of mine from Stuttgart. They are very much involved in the Danube region in the development and have been collaborating with many of your colleagues, I guess, also from Slovakia. So also I'm a member of the Enterprise Europe Network, and we work a lot with the internationalization of SMEs and other research actors. And to further confuse you, I'm the EU funding advisor of Danubalt, and this is kind of the head I put on now, the perspective from where I give you a short presentation. So it's about the macro regions. We were discussing a lot about clusters and ecosystems on the regional level, and you may know that the EU, since almost 10 years now, has also a strategy to develop macro regions. So it's a bit in between the national states and the EU. And those macro regions exist already. The first one started in 2009 was the Baltic Sea region. They have their own strategy, and they want, of course, to develop these regions, macro regions, between the countries with common interests, common ideas, and to frame this and also to give financing. They adapt also the Interact programs, for example. We now have a program for the Danube region, because this is now also a macro region, or for the Baltic Sea region. And then we have two more. It's the Alpine and the Adriatic Ionic region. So there are, since many years, these macro regions out, and the EU has the intention to further develop and also to strengthen the cooperation to countries around the EU. For us, for example, the cooperation with Norway or with Russia is very important, and in other regions, for you probably with Ukraine and so on. So that's behind also these strategies. And a couple of years back, we had an EU project, a Horizon project, where we combined colleagues from the Danube region and from the Baltic Sea region, and looking on, that was what the Commission asked us, the divide between so-called low-performing and leading innovation regions. No? Low-performing regions, from the indicators given by the EU, many of them in the eastern or southern part of the EU, and the leading innovation region, Central Europe, Northern European. So, and in the Danube region and also in the Baltic Sea region, we have both. So our idea was, it's probably a good idea to see, not to look only on the less performing regions, but to look at the region where both could collaborate, and that's what we try to address here. How can we overcome this divide between less performing and higher performing regions. We did an analysis, had some recommendation to our regions, and we were using Steinbeis, which I will explain in a moment, because they exist already, and we were trying to develop to set up a similar organization for the Danube region, but so far it didn't work out. But maybe this will also be a good occasion here to raise interest, to have an organization which is not only working in a country, in a region, but also across. So why do we need those macro regions, and what could they do in our field of work, in the health economy and life sciences? That's a long list. Of course, it's about the same challenges we share in a certain region, health or environmental issues. Of course, in the Baltic Sea region, it's a lot about the Baltic Sea and environmental issues, logistics and so on, transport, but also same health challenges or demographic developments and so on. So we have a lot of rural areas up there, so how can we deal with them? It's of course easier to create critical mass in such regions, to have enough actors from a certain topic, or to combine infrastructures, or to bring in different expertise on one table. Then it's possible in the same region. That's why I was also asking about the operational programs. We know that from our region, it's always difficult to bring in these international cooperations, because we're getting into trouble with the regulations of the structural funds. On the other side, Horizon, of course, is only asking for those. Okay, so avoid duplication. Of course, it's all taxpayers' money, so it would actually be good also for EU as such if we could increase the efficiency of the EU budget spent. If you would like to read more about it afterwards, Danubalt developed this documentation here, practical experiences, models and concepts for macro-regional collaboration between regions and clusters. So I can send it to you if you're interested. Just give me your card then. Now a snapshot and a little introduction as an example for such a possible cooperation on the macro region on Danubalt. It's I don't have a map here, but it's all the Baltic countries, Poland, all the Scandinavian countries, and the northern part of Germany. It's a big region with a lot of people, a lot of universities, a lot of innovation and research infrastructure, and also drivers and bottlenecks, which are probably the same also in other EU regions. It's about, in the health field, about demographic shifts. It's about digitalization nowadays. It's about more and more specialization in the hospitals, for example. And on the other side, we still see the lack of ideas which come out of the hospitals, and the lack of innovative solutions which find its way into these organizations. So this is, of course, the possibility and responsibility for such a big region to solve this. How can you do this? Danubalt is setting itself strategies for a certain period. Right now we have a period from 2015 to 2018, and here's the solution: solving societal challenges on top of Europe. So top of Europe was a slogan within Danubalt, because geographically we are on the top of Europe, but also, of course, because we think we are the top of Europe quality-wise. So that's the answer. It will support the patients if we have more healthcare offered available, because one invention from Tartu has been tested in Sweden maybe, and was easier to implement that in Denmark than in Germany. So you have a much bigger possibilities on such a big scale. The regions can most likely increase the efficiency of use of the infrastructure. We are able to cope also with the problems in the rural areas, and the SMEs will get faster possibilities in a neighboring country, which is not so different from the own one, to enter an external market with reduced efforts. So the strategy is set. Now how to implement. Danubalt has that's a snapshot of today's activities. Danubalt has a list of projects, funded projects, Interreg, Horizon 2020, and so on. And on the other side, a group of services which they offer to the actors. So Danubalt is a member-based organization. The majority of members are clusters from the different regions, or universities, some private companies, and so on. But in general, more the regional development organizations. And you can see from the projects how they try to solve those problems. For example, here is a project where all these test beds or living labs, so a certain kind of infrastructure which offers services to test new products and developments, will be offered also to other regions. So an SME from Gdansk comes to the living lab because they have a specific expertise for medical data or whatever in Copenhagen, and they will have a common small project. Baltic City Prevention is trying to match between the public authorities and the SMEs. Still see this information gap here. We have a project on biomarker commercialization. We have a project on the fracture registry, so sharing medical data in a specific indication. And we have also a project here on promoting digital health in a variety of target groups, patients, elderly, students, and so on. So with these concrete projects, they try to establish these international corporations. They try to develop services, and those services will then, of course, also be a lever to further develop the competitiveness of SMEs and infrastructure use. There's a business club, for example. SMEs can promote their ideas or can promote their wishes, their partner searches. We have certain other regions outside the EU we're collaborating with, so it's easier to access Korea, Vietnam, or India, because a small country cannot afford to have all these liaisons around the world. But a bigger organization like Danubalt is capable to kind of combine this into a stronger force. No? Project acceleration, so more and more trying to find also other financing instruments or make use of these facilities here, like these test beds, to really develop towards the market entry. Think tank, so we are of course giving input and consultation also to regions, to governments, and networking and marketing, like slogans on top of Europe, is an important issue, which clusters do anyway. But here you have the possibility that one organization on an international level speaks to totally different other stakeholders, and they will kind of take your own message with them. No? So it's, of course, every cluster has its own standing and its own function and own region. But here it's a possibility on top of that to have additional marketing and access. Yeah, so you see there's such an organization. I already mentioned it's membership-based, so it's mainly as funding from public sources, but then the members pay per year and get the possibilities also to exchange in between. I mean, we heard a lot about the different concepts today here, and this is for us. With every meeting, you get to know what is going on in Turku, how do they do it in Tartu, what does Gothenburg do. Now they started a data factory, for example, some new concepts, and we have the possibilities to get to know this on a very short and direct way without long introductions, no? Because we know each other after more than 10 years now. So these are the kind of target groups and the particular services Steinbeis has been able to set up by now. As I said, we were looking also to the Danube region. There's a lot of competences and strengths and particular expertise in the different life sciences fields. But what is missing compared to the Baltic Sea region, as an example, is an organization which kind of plays this role as spider in the net. And this is, I think, very important to move quicker, to adapt also to new situations. I mean, we have Estonia now in our group. We're talking about digitalization. Of course, everybody looks to Estonia, and we have them with us. So it's easy for us to get to know how are you doing this and what can we learn from you. So it helps a lot between the different countries. And the example of Estonia is a good one because it's from the so-called less performing regions. But now everybody's looking to Estonia to learn from them. And we are from the so-called leading performing innovation region. So it's already going back to the other direction. And I think this cooperation helped a lot also to achieve this. So this is how they developed over the years from 2001. We started with the network building, competence and trust. We heard about it in the morning. Competence mapping is some of these tools we also heard about. Then we started already with shared services. What can we do between clusters? The SME clinic interaction came onto the top priorities after some years. Now we're talking about digital health. We talk about test beds. And yeah, I don't know what we talk about in the future, but at the moment we talk about the accelerator on top of Europe. Okay, I hope this was a good add-on to the regional cluster developments and ecosystems. And if you have questions or if you want to develop something similar or if you want to collaborate with them, let me know. We are open and interested to cooperate with many regions. Thank you very much. Yeah, and the idea for your last slide was if these clusters couldn't kind of try to work more international and cooperate with international clusters. If that would fit into your program, we would be happy to provide some partners.
Thank you very much, Frank. And we have questions.
Thank you for very impressive, and especially the results at the end.
Yeah.
Quite very, very impressive. Could you precise how many people work for your Danubalt association? Or are some of these people provided by some of the members? Or?
So the general secretary is very lean. It's more or less one person, and there's a board which has, how much are you? Seven executive committee, chairmen. So we have a chairman, which comes from one of the countries, and then there are vice chairmen, and this group is kind of the one which meets regularly and defines the projects, the intentions, the strategy, and so on. But every member has its own cluster and own cluster interest and access to SMEs and so on. So Steinbeis doesn't need to do this because this is what the members do anyway. No? So all they need to do is to discuss in between the countries what are the ideas and intentions, which direction do you want to go, and that's a very small group. And that's like, this vice chairmanship, I think it's 6 plus some other active members. So if we meet, not more than 10.
So you do not hire directly some people?
One is hired. And I'm also, I get a little bit of it because I'm the EU advisor. So if it comes to EU projects and developing this, then sometimes they involve me. But it's on a very small base. They try to get what the members have in their organizations anyway. No?
Okay, so excellent example, ideas. Thank you for your time again.
Thank you.
Any more questions?